Hello everyone, welcome to Beaver's Hobby channel. In this video, we're gonna take a look at the HPI nano-TTR 1:64 scale RC car. First of all, I would like to thank HPI for sending me this car for a review. It is pretty rare for a big brand to come down and do a niche thing like this. So let's take a look. Here's the package. It looks pretty simple at the front, just their logo. And then when we flip it to the side, we can see that it has the actual size printed on the box. We'll see about that. And the contents of the package, which doesn't look like much. On this side, there is nothing. On this side, however, we have a full picture of the car. Again, there's nothing on this side, but on the back, we can see that it is fully licensed, which is to be expected from a big brand like this, and very much welcome, because let's face it, these small cars, usually I don't think they ever license anything. So, let's open it up and see what's inside. We also have a hologram factory seal, which makes it look pretty premium. On the inner cover of the box, we have the list of the features. And then, first we have the manual. And of course, being from a big brand like this, it is pretty well written, with multiple languages. Here is the car. And finally, the transmitter is in here. It is very well packaged with no foam, but everything is well protected inside. This is really good. Next, we have the transmitter. And finally, a USB Type-C charging cable. And that's it. This is all we have in the box. Let's take a closer look at the car. This is 1969 Ford Mustang RTR. The car is packed inside a protective bag. And it looks really good. Actually, it looks amazing. Wow, the details are great and the proportions are pretty much perfect for this scale. The wheels also look really good. And luckily, it doesn't have any side mirrors because those things will be the first to break off. Here's the front, the side, the back, another side, and the top. And the size, I must say, it is a tiny bit bigger than the Turbo Racing. So we'll make a comparison with that later. Flip it to the back and we can see the USB charging port. Next, this looks like an alternative way to charge, which I guess they are going to make a charging stand accessories later. And finally, we have an on-off switch. So we have a proper switch and not the pressing type. It has a little bit of front suspension. The travel is not much, but it has quite good ground clearance. We only have the suspension at the front and not at the back. We don't have a differential, which is to be expected of this scale. And of course, it is rear-wheel drive. It comes with grip tires, which are pretty grippy for a car of this size. The wheelbase is 42mm. The width is 31mm. So, next, is it an actual size? Close enough. The body is held on by 2 screws, so we can easily remove it. So, we can lift it up. Like that. So inside we have the light part. on the front and on the back. And the bits are falling off, which is to be expected. So we have the rear bumper and the front splitter, which can fall off when you undo the body, so be careful with that. Oh, and if you flip the body down, the light pieces can also fall off, so be careful with these as well. And here's the inside. Seems like everything is integrated on the board. And we have a 1-cell battery, 58 mAh, and it is on a plug. So theoretically, you can actually upgrade this by yourself as well, providing that a new battery fits inside the body. So if we flip it to the back, we can see that it uses SMD LEDs. We have 4 on the front, and seems like we have 6 on the rear. So we don't see much of anything in here. So I presume that everything is inside this encased plastic that I cannot remove. Or can I? Because there is a screw here. Nope, it's not coming off. Let's not break this before I review it. Anyway, here's the look inside the body. And here's how to put it back together. First, you can drop the chassis inside the body. And you can see that there's a hole in the front. It goes here. And then you can put the rear bumper on the car. And the front bumper or splitter actually goes under the wheel a little bit. Just like that. And then push it in gently. And it'll go in like that. Now, what's left is just 2 screws. And there you have it. Oh, I didn't notice this at first, but it actually has an RTR logo on the front splitter. It is a tiny, tiny logo. Just look at the details they put on this car. So let's charge it and see how it drives. As always, you are going to have to supply your own USB charger. The charging cable that comes with the car is not very long, but it is very pliable. There's a red light inside when it is charging. And the red light goes out when the charging is finished. While it is charging, let's do a little bit of comparison. Here is the Turbo Racing Dodge whatever Hellcat Challenger. I don't really know. I have no idea about the American muscle. The Turbo Racing is a little bit smaller, which is to be expected because the Turbo Racing is 176, but the HPI is 164. So the HPI is a little bit bigger, but not by much. I think you can actually rest them together if you already have one of these. Next, the Turbo Racing Mitsubishi Eclipse. Wow, the size difference is quite significant. Wow, that is much different than I thought. I still think that you can rest them together. Let's take a closer look at the transmitter. That is quite surprising. It comes with a full-size transmitter. Well, HPI has their sub-brands, so I can guess that it comes from their other RTRs. On this side, of course, we have the throttle. Hang on a second. The throttle feels really good. It is not too heavy and not too light. And it has really good throw. I'm really impressed. Out of all RTR radios I've ever come across, this feels the best. and the reverse is pretty short. Well, you don't need much on the reverse anyway. Moving on to the steering wheel. It is pretty light, but it comes with a foam cover, which I prefer. It grips to the hand really well. And next we have a 3-position switch. And another switch here. So I presume it can go up or down. On the other side, there is nothing. On the top, we have a power button. And then we have forward, reverse, left, and right trim buttons. So these are digital trims. We also have steering dual rate. And instead of throttle dual rate, we have throttle EPA. The difference is the EPA adjusts each side separately, so we can adjust the forward and reverse at a different rate. And not just that, we also have steering reverse and throttle reverse, which of course are not going to be useful for this car. But remember, this is from HPI, and they also make a receiver that is compatible with this. So if this is your first car and you decide to continue the RC hobby and get a kit car, you can actually get an HPI receiver and continue using this transmitter. And the receiver isn't that expensive either. So, all in all, this is quite a good investment. And finally, it runs on 4 AA batteries, which you have to supply yourself. So we hold to turn on, and then hold to turn off. Now let's turn it on and see how it drives. It is fully proportional for both steering and throttle. It also had full forward, brake and reverse. Forward, brake, come back to the center and reverse. It is quite noisy, however. Here's a program of this 3-position switch. It controls the light. The front is fully off. But even though it is off, you still have brake light and reverse light. The middle position is on. And of course, the brake light and reverse light are still there. And to the back position, we have full light effects. Of course, the lights are still on, but it adds the turn signals to the car. And here's the front. Like that. Next, these 2 switches. Doesn't seem to do anything. Next, let's test the servo centering. So, here's the neutral position. Now, to the left. So it actually goes at a straight line, but when I turned it, the wheel actually moved the car a little bit. Now, to the right. Yep, still on the same line. It is exactly on the same line, so it has perfect servo centering. Next, let's check the turning circle. It is 29.5 centimeter to the right. And about 30.5 centimeter to the left. So there is only a small difference between left and right turn, which for a car of this size, it is actually really good. Usually, we see a bigger difference between the left and the right turns. However, I noticed that it comes out of the box with the steering jaw rate at the middle. So, let's crank it up to the max and see how it goes. That's 20 centimeter to the right. And now to the left. We have perfect 20-20. Now look at the full steering. This is very impressive. With that kind of steering angle, I can make a figure of 8 very easily on my desk. And one thing I noticed it immediately is that this car is very precise to drive. It drives the best out of all the tiny cars I have. But even though it can do 20 centimeter turning circle, I highly recommend turning the jaw rate down or increase the turning circle, because if you drive it on a grippy surface, a high steering angle or a very small turning circle can make the car roll over very easily. So just turn it down so it doesn't roll over. Let's take it out for a test drive. First, let's do a drag race. Here's with the Turbo Racing Hellcat. And here's with the Turbo Racing Eclipse. In conclusion, this is really good to drive. Usually, the steering of these tiny cars is not very precise. This one, however, feels great to drive. The steering and overall control is really good. I can point it exactly where I want to go. The high ground clearance helps a lot when driving on a wrinkled carpet or on a regular floor. Once the battery runs out, it'll stop and blink hazard light. I get about 50 minutes of runtime. Here are some questions I'm sure you would like to ask. Can it drift? No. But if the floor is slippery enough, you can do some skids. Does multi-protocol work with it? No, not at the time of this recording. And finally, can it be modified? I don't think so. This is an all-in-one boat with closed chassis, so it is difficult or maybe even impossible to modify. The price should be around £60 or €75 for the kit with the transmitter, and £40 or €50 without the transmitter in case you already have the HPI MTX400 or TF51 transmitter. This is a really good price. For the US, however, last I have seen is $130, so it is quite a lot more expensive, and that is up to you if you are okay with it. The spares will be available later, and it is from a big brand, so I'm confident that it'll have a long-term support. Not that it'll break easily, because I actually drove it off the table multiple times. But it is still perfect. Whoa, shit! I just dropped the car. And it's still as good as new. It's the tires that will need replacing. All in all, this is a great addition to the collection. It stands out on the shelf among other micros, and is also great to drive. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and see you again next time.